Hey everyone, Mr. Wineland here. I'm really glad to have my power back. Ooh, man, I don't know how it was in Manford, but it was pretty rough here in Stillwater. Let's go through this. I meant to record this and I forgot, but let's go ahead and put it up there. Um, we talked about we're talking about Section 4, Alexander's Empire. We kind of briefly talked about this. Now, the thing about with Alexander is that what we need to know about Alexander the Great is that he's from Macedonia, and Macedonia before Alexander the Great was we're going to learn is was not viewed as almost a Greek-like uh, country or city state, but eventually they're going to take control after the Peloponnesian War. And we see that most Greeks considered the Macedonians backwards. They lived in villages, they didn't live in cities. They spoke a different form of unintelligible Greek. But we see by 359, as you see the definition for Philip II, by 359 BC, the Macedonian fortune would start to change with Philip as the king of Macedonia. He would rule for a good chunk, and the rest of his definitions here in yellow. A lot of his actions, he was to reorganize the army. He also took those actions both reorganizing the army as teaching them new tactics like the phalanx, which was successful in Greek culture. Included also large bodies of cavalry, more archers. He then set out to conquer Greece, faced a little opposition, quickly crushed the armies, conquered all but Sparta at that point in time. We see Philip's conquest would have continued, but he had conquered most of Greece, but was assassinated, and many people thought, well, okay, this is going to end the Macedonian reign. It didn't. Eventually, his plans would carry over to his son, Alexander the Great. Alexander, only 20, when he finally took the reins, had been trained from very young age by his father and his mother, who taught him warfare and politics, and then as well as Aristotle, who taught him how to be a great thinker, also politics as well, and getting him ready for this role as king. Your answer 18 is down here in these 2 points here. But Alexander faced almost immediately with revolts in Greece. He set out to reestablish control. He used harsh measures to do so. When Theban army had tried to attack him or rebel against him, he basically crushed the people, sold them into slavery, and burned their city to the ground. So he was pretty harsh when he had to be. But he was also viewed as a liberator, and that is one thing that he had some success in. We would see that with Greece under the control of Alexander, he made his way through Asia in 334 BC, taking of Turkey, then taking Mesopotamia, then making his way down to Egypt. He crushed the Persians. They were relatively, his army, even though Alexander's army was relatively small, they were very organized, very loyal, smart, and they were able to take down the Persians, who were disorganized at this time under the reign of Darius III. Within a year, Alexander's army won those victories in the Asian Minor and the Persians, quickly laid down to Egypt. He freed the Egyptians, and they loved him so much that they actually called him the new Pharaoh. He then destroyed the Persian army in Gaugamela, which is now modern-day Iraq, and then ultimately caused Darius to flee, Darius III, that is, and he eventually was later killed by his own people, Darius III was. With the defeat of Darius, Alexander then moved his army far east and started taking out the Persian capital. Finally had control of the Persian Empire, but he wanted a little bit more. So he keeps going further into the Indus Valley, right around Pakistan, conquers that area, and is about to conquer more of India, but he is stopped by the Indian army. He's able to defeat them, but before he can move further into India, his soldiers said they had enough. We can't move further. We want to go home. It's our time to go home. We want to go home and see our families. Had those soldiers kept going, he probably could have conquered all of India, and who knows, could have made his way into China. Alexander was then forced to turn back, but you can see here all the amazing stuff that he conquered. Here, Macedonia, all of Greece. Did not conquer all of Sparta. There you go. Then also we see that he conquered Egypt, and then all the way down here and all the way up there. So we see that Greece, he was able to help unite Greece. Alexander's empire was the largest world had ever seen. He did not rule very long. In 323 BC, he fell ill in Babylon and sadly passed away at the age of 33. died without naming an heir, and that caused a lot of chaos. It caused some problems because they didn't know what to do. So generals fought over power of what to do with the empire, and they divided the empire into kingdoms, called themselves kings. Antigonus became the king of Macedonia and Greece. Seleucus ruled the Persian Empire, and Ptolemy ruled Egypt. We do see that the Alexander's conquests ultimately caused some problems. Alexander himself adopted Persian dress and customs and married Persian women, included Persians, people from other lands in his army. As time passed, Greek settlers throughout the empire would adopt new ways, and a vibrant new culture emerged as it would create what is going to call the Hellenistic culture. And we're going to talk about that in the next slide. But that does it for section 4.